All right, welcome to this video. My name is Jeremiah, and I just want to kind of give an intro as to why I think Jordan Peterson has become so popular with Christians. And this is basically, shouldn't sound too surprising, but I believe he's bringing the hero's journey back again, which is his it's his psychological concept of the hero. So it's not a thoroughly theological concept, but it definitely has theological implications. And I guess some of these theological implications are that he has shifted the focus to discipline and perhaps a new form of monasticism. So I'll explain kind of what I mean now. So his 12 rules for life is really about disciplining people. To use kind of his language, it's to buck up or, give people a slap, tell them how to get their act together. And a key part of this overall message is that meaning is more important than happiness. That happiness is fleeting, that you can't store it up, that you need something greater when the storms of life come than simply having, all the means that you need in life. And this is an enticing message for Christians in some sense because it seems new and novel, because more and more Christianity has moved away from the hero's journey or discipline and moved to more of a social justice model. And this has happened for various reasons. You have liberation theology in Latin America, and then a whole host of other types of identity theology in North America: feminist theology, womanist theology, mujerista theology, and on and on down the line. But it has also taken place in more conservative evangelical circles as well, particularly with the emphasis on new creation. And here I'm thinking especially of N.T. Wright, the Anglican New Testament scholar, as a very good example of this. So he sees the resurrection as God's launch pad for the restoration of the world. This is the beginning of God's new creation, his new work of putting the world right again. And this is all well and good, and that's a discussion for another day. The implications of this, and the benefits and drawbacks and whatnot. But the hero's journey definitely has a different focus. And to put it starkly, the hero's journey is about disciplining oneself for the next world. And it actually embraces hardships because this is what tests a person's character. And I preached about this yesterday, the story of Joseph. And his is one of the test of strength of character. He is betrayed by his brothers. He's sold into slavery. He resists Potiphar's wife, but he's still punished for it. He goes to prison only to re-emerge as the interpreter of dreams and the second in command in all of Egypt. And the trials that he endured only made him stronger. And it was this test of character that defined his journey through life. And this paradigm has been a part of Christianity for a long time as well. So during the early church, we have this focus on asceticism or monasticism that most of us today do not understand at all. So things like fasting and kind of this rigorous structuring of our lives around different times of prayer, learning to control our passions, all of these things have largely gone out the window. They're kind of it's a nice idea, and yet we don't have concrete ways of implementing these. So Christians really took seriously Paul's call to discipline their bodies and to put off sin. Now, an apt example of this comes from St. Francis. And it was St. Francis that said that he hungers after fasting the way others hunger after food. It's like fasting became his food. And this is a very different way of conceiving life than most Christians do today. And, this focus on individual discipline didn't negate the fact that many monastics performed works of charity, even set up hospitals. I'm thinking about Basil the Great, and other places for marginalized people. But ultimately, the goal wasn't simply to share the bread equally, but to teach people a better way, to teach people to go on this hero's journey to make fasting and prayer their source of sustenance. Now, with the Protestant Reformation, we have a shift away from asceticism to a more worldly types of discipline. Luther was notoriously critical of monasticism and suggested that the farmer in his field was a better example of Christian piety than a monk in his cell. But we still have discipline, and we still have the hero. And this is where Max Weber's theory of the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism comes in. This basically says that, Calvinists or Protestants who wanted to prove their election would try to be successful in life. And usually this took the form of, being successful in business. And this was thought to be a sign of their worthiness or election. And for Weber, this is why Protestant countries were so successful, because of this disciplined Puritan capitalism. So Protestants still had a discipline, but it was a more worldly one. But moving to today, increasingly the hero's journey has not been a part of the Christian narrative. We have focused less on discipline for the next life and more on justice for this one. And this fits with the prevailing culture. We are more or less skeptical about the next life, and so it makes sense to make things as comfortable and as fair as possible here in the here and now. And in a world where meaning is no longer our food, we mostly turn to physical, ordinary food to sustain, maintain, and even entertain us. The hero's journey seems to be an effort to reinstate the food of meaning and the importance of discipline with an orientation towards the next life. And this is what I've gleaned from the whole Peterson phenomenon. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the new Benedict that Rod Dreher has spoken of, but he certainly points in that direction. So this is my kind of thinking on the whole movement, and I'd appreciate your thoughts about this. Thank you.